Yeah, I think it's an interesting way, sort of building from the bottom up, a very robust defense to Chinese influence and infiltration, right? Starting at what seem to be these innocuous things like the sister cities or the academic exchanges. But as you well know, this is part of a multi-billion-dollar political warfare effort that Beijing very strictly controls and deploys quite strategically, right, to curate these sort of Western politicians or academics or think tanker types or media types to push and peddle their line. I'm curious, kind of relating this to what was, I mean, we've been talking about it here in the forum for a while, but I guess maybe for the New York Times readers, when they're not busy taking China Daily advertisements, they publish years later investigations into Chinese infiltration, particularly in New York. But can you just sort of give us, an overview of how exactly this compromised network works and why it's so important to sort of use that to reverse engineer the policy solutions to combating it?
So the name of it is called the United Front Apparatus, but really think of it as a political warfare machine. Think of it as you're trying to win an election in the United States every single day. That's why what the New York Times covered, and they deserve credit for this because they've been ignoring this problem for a while, over 50 organizations in the city of New York, all with ties to the Chinese government, working on behalf of the Chinese government while actually operating under American nonprofit law. So they're engaging in electioneering, which is illegal for them to do under nonprofit law. But set that aside, they're running broad influence operations to try to take out politicians who say support Taiwan and insert politicians, and they don't care the party, insert politicians that support the global agenda of the Chinese Communist Party. They also inserted spies into the governor of New York's offices. She's under indictment now with her husband. They're inserting spies across governments where really you have a soft underbelly, New York, California, Minnesota, where the leadership's really not watching very closely. So what they're doing in New York, over 50 civil society orgs, they're really just arms of the Communist Party. They're operating to enhance the Communist Party's power within the United States, and then they're crushing dissent against the Communist Party. New York also had an illegal police station where the Communist Party was policing ethnic Chinese in America, in New York City itself. So that's transnational repression. That's the kind of thing that Texas said, you're going to go to jail for a really long time if you do it here. But in New York, unfortunately, they still have free reign. And I think that the FBI really needs to start looking at some of these deep blue jurisdictions, California, New York, where the Communist Party is really just running wild. I mean, Gavin Newsom is running right along with them in California. The governor of New York had spies in her office. They're now under indictment. I think you really need federal law enforcement to dig in deeply into these networks, suss them out. And if, the President Trump, he should sanction all of these entities. There are proposals to just sanction the entirety of what's called the United Front, cut off all their funding, send all the agents home, and denaturalize anyone who became a citizen of the United States by lying about their affiliations and loyalty to the Communist Party. That's what we need to win this political war just on our own soil, set aside the global conflict we have with the Communist Party.